I'm sure your clients all the time say, I feel so awkward. I could never do that. I could never do what you do. I could never dance on stage. I could never get naked in front of a camera. I'm so awkward. And so then seeing you feel that you feel the same feelings is probably really normalizing.
Oh, that's true.
Right?
But I would rather get naked on stage than talk on a camera.
That's fair.
Yeah. That feels like so much less terrifying to me than being like, here's my thoughts and inside opinions, you know?
Well, and there's something so empowering. I mean, there's something so empowering about both, I think.
Yeah.
Or like, I feel that there's something so empowering about both, but I think there's something so empowering about also being naked on stage and seeing everybody's eyes on you. I don't know. There's something that like, look at me. Listen to me.
Yeah.
You know?
Not listen, just look.
Just look. You're still telling a story.
It's true.
With your dance and your movement and it's embodied storytelling. It's still storytelling.
I love it.
Yeah.
We're jumping ahead so much already.
I love it though. You're about to edit it. I'm so sorry.
This will be like
a teaser. A primer. Watch this.
We'll put it at the beginning and then we'll be like, wait. Welcome to Girl Moss, a digital forest grove for anyone reclaiming their relationship to their body, voice, pleasure, and self. I'm Misty Moss, boudoir photographer, self-portrait artist, and burlesque performer. Here we explore body image, art, sensuality, resistance, and all the messy and beautiful ways we can live more intentionally in our bodies and in our lives. Welcome back to Girl Moss. Today I'm so excited because I have a really amazing guest with me. I found you, I think, on Instagram. I think I was just like creeping people in the city because I just moved here. And I was like looking to connect with like-minded baddies. And I was
definitely like-minded.
Right? I was like, this woman looks really cool. And now that I know you better, I'm like, wow, you're so much cooler than I first even knew.
Sucks.
I think the hard part is going to be like figuring out what to ask you today and not like, because there's so much.
We could be here forever.
Like literally all day.
All day.
Forever.
Nothing else matters.
Just gabbing. Yeah, I just loved your energy and everything you stand for about like reclaiming our relationship with our bodies, our sovereignty in our bodies, and advocacy within that as well. Finger claps. So we will dive into all that juicy stuff, but I would love to introduce you all to my friend Tara Teng. So hi, Tara. Please tell us
baby. How are you?
a little bit about you.
Man, where should we even begin? From a work perspective, I am a somatic coach. I work one-on-one with a lot of folks who are reconnecting back to their bodies, often after trauma, often religious trauma, reconnecting back to their bodies, their sensuality, their sexuality, their self-expression in a way that feels honest and authentic to them. So often, myself included, we have felt really pressured to fit into boxes and other people's expectations. So I help people unravel all of that and find their way back to wholeness and thriving and even erotic wholeness. And it's beautiful and it's so fun to watch people just go on that journey. And it's such an honor to have people entrust you with that journey. I'm sure you feel the same way with your work. So I work with clients literally everywhere in the world. And I have this beautiful, beautiful community locally. I'm stepped into this community facilitator, community organizer role, which honestly I've been doing for years, but it's often been in a very activism, which I know we'll talk about, but it's been in a very, I've been a career activist in a lot of ways. I worked in politics for a while, helped pass and change criminal codes, did a lot of advocacy for ending violence against women. And I think it's been very easy for me to rage against the bad things in the world. And I've come into this place where it's both. It's both confronting what's wrong in the world and multiplying what's right. And what's right is beautiful communities that we're all longing for, where we can feel loved and seen and accepted for who we are, where we don't have to mold or conform ourselves to one way of being, but our unique differences and our diversity is really celebrated, and also feel like we can support one another in the journey of learning and unlearning all of the things. And just to do that from a place that is community-centered, trauma-informed, consent-based, through a decolonial, matriarchal lens has been really, really life-giving, for me included.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're so cool.
Wow.
What really I think blows my mind about you is you have such an interesting origin story of how you got here. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, happy to, because I think it's something that isn't, again, unique to just me. I was raised very, very strict conservative Christian. Like my dad still to this day is a Southern Baptist pastor. We were raised in the church and I grew up in a small, like rural, isolated coastal town. And so like the only way in is like by boat or plane. All of my friends were only from the church. We only socialized with people from the church. And then on top of that, I was homeschooled. So it was almost cult like behavior in the sense that I really was naive to the world. I didn't know anything beyond it. And so that religious indoctrination went so deep. And I was also so earnest in my faith of it, and really clung to a lot of things like values that I still really appreciate in the sense that like I still fuck with Jesus in the sense that like he was incredibly
He
socialist.
was so fucking cool.
So
Like
fucking cool.
Jesus as a human, not as the entity they've made him
Not
into.
as the mascot.
Like supported sex workers,
110%.
was a loud advocate.
Yeah.
Like
Fed people, empowered women. The majority of his primary leaders were actually women, something that not everybody talks about. Right. And so, like, I grew up hearing things like, Jesus loves everybody and everybody is welcome in the church and all these, like, really beautiful things that as a kid, I was like, yeah, because
he
you
sounds
don't,
cool.
he sounds so cool because you don't see as a child, you don't see what's behind the curtain yet.
Yeah.
Right? Like, there's this simplicity and this innocence of faith that I think is so incredibly beautiful and also at the same time so vulnerable. Right? Because you're not, as a child, you're not wise to the ways that people manipulate, exploit, take advantage of, abuse. And then as I got older, I started to see all of those things at play in the
Yeah.
community that I was raised in. And I don't wish that realization on anyone because it's devastating. And I work with a lot of clients now who are seeing their worldview come crashing down, realizing that all of the things that I thought existed actually don't. Right? And then you have to rebuild your entire worldview and sense of who you are. And that's quite a journey. That's such a journey, right? And so I started to see things and start to pull at the threads as I kind of came of age. You go through puberty, you start to come awakened to your sexuality and the fact that you even have thoughts and opinions, maybe that you didn't when you were so little. And sometimes those thoughts and opinions do not match up with the other grown-ups around you. And so I started to become a teenager and was constantly hearing things like, you're so rebellious. Like, I'm just so struck with how rebellious you are. And my rebellion was literally like, I want to wear a tank top because it's summer and it's hot and my shoulders are showing.
Oh my God.
And this skirt is too many inches too short or whatever the thing was. And all of a sudden, I couldn't have friends that were boys, and queerness was never even talked about. So, surprise, surprise, later on in my 30s, figuring out that, oh, actually, I'm bisexual. These conversations were never, ever open for discussion. Right. So, there was so much repression and there was so much policing of bodies. There was so much policing of sexuality. I was like deep in purity culture, which again is something that wasn't unique just to me. Like, I came of age in the 90s, 2000s, right? Where purity culture was at their height. Like we were talking about Britney Spears' virginity and we're Jonas Brothers and their purity rings and all the
Oh my
things.
God, I forgot that the Jonas Brothers were purity ring.
Right? And so for us growing up in these really sheltered, super repressed, conservative communities,
Yeah.
they were like the poster boys and the
Yeah.
poster childs, right? Virginal, Jessica Simpson women and all of the things that we grew up with back in the day, right? That became just weaponized of restriction of like how our bodies were controlled. And we can go much deeper into that later, and I'm sure that we will, but that was so formative for me and constantly pushing up and having questions and then having those questions shut down. And rather than people having honest conversations with me about it, just vilifying you for even having the questions in the first place because you stepped out of line. And so now I can look back with my understanding as a grown up and realize, oh, this is very like controlled and repressive and cult like behavior. But at the time, my inner world within my body was just fighting with all of the systems that I found myself stuck within. Like I used to have eczema all up in my arms and my hands because my body was literally screaming at me to get out.
Yeah, it knows.
It knows. Our bodies are so wise and they know. And so later in my 20s and 30s, I went through this process of becoming very like it was my career to be in the church as well, right? Like I became this like like Christian speaker doing the Christian speaker circuit. So freaking cool. And speaking at conferences and all these retreats and all these things. And through that process, realizing that the stuff in my childhood that I was like, oh yeah, I fuck with Jesus. He's so cool. We weren't actually living those things out. And that was a huge moral crisis for me because I did really truly believe like, oh yeah, like basic stuff like men and women are equal, and realizing that the people around me didn't actually believe those same things. And I remember like this one breaking moment for me in my personal walk and my like journey was I was sitting with this pastor and he was getting me to come speak at their conference. And he was like, "Well, we can't have women speak on Sunday mornings because women are not supposed to hold leadership and authority over men. And so if women are talking to the men, then they're holding authority and leadership over the men, and we just can't have that. And here's the kicker. He said, if we let the women speak, then we have to let the gays speak too. And so we can't even go down that path."
Oh no.
Truly. That just did not sit right with me. And this is before I even realized that I also, surprise, surprise, I also am queer. I didn't realize that at the time, but it sat so wrong of like, this doesn't match up with the picture of Jesus that I had been taught since I was a little baby. And I kept pulling at that thread for many, many years, which led me on this huge deep dive research journey into, I was this whole theology nerd of like, well, okay, well, what does the Bible actually say? And what actually happened and all of these things and really tearing it all apart. And that process of digging deep into the history and the scriptures, this research, the theology, all of the things, like that was finally the turning point for me where I was like, these two things aren't matching up. And I can't be part of it any longer because my integrity now is at stake. And I left.
Wow. How old were you when you left?
It was a long process.
Yeah.
I had a lot of in and outs. And I think like this is for anybody who has left any abusive environment or any abusive relationship, right? There is this in and out. So I first would say that I deconstructed Christianity when I was a teenager. Saw a lot of stuff behind the curtain where I was like, if this is what Christians do to one another, I don't want anything to do with it. And I left, and then I came back. And then I was very, very gung-ho in the church for a while. And then I started having these conversations where I was in leadership now, seeing the things weren't matching up. And there was such a hierarchy of power. And Jesus is so anti-hierarchical that didn't work for me. And so then I fully, fully left in my mid-20s. And I've been out now for a while.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I think something I wanted to touch about is you host women's circles.
I do, yeah.
And I actually never wanted to go to a women's circle before. Like, I'd always been curious about them, but I
You see them online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I always stayed away because there is a lot of women's circles, I think, that perpetrate a lot of toxicity and violence and like the love and light type of healing that doesn't touch on intersectionality or all of the stuff that I'm really passionate about.
Yeah.
But to kind of like tie it back into the church is I think a lot of people get swept up in church and cults and wanting to belong to organized religion because just as humans, we have like this natural desire to belong in community and have like pockets of that community and that connection. And I think what really gets me with your women's circles is that it feels like that sense of like deep connection that the church provides, but without any of the church bullshit. It's just the good.
It's just the good.
Like it's all the things that I think.
I mean, that's what we aim for. So I'm really glad that that's what comes across from an outside perspective, outside my own brain. I'm really glad that
you did it.
Yay!
Mission accomplished.
Yay, success.
Yeah, I guess I'm curious to know what inspired you to start the women's circles. At what point did your personal healing begin to transform into guiding other women?
Yeah.
Was it a craving for that sense of church-like community that you had lost, or was it something else?
I mean, I think it's all the above. So I started hosting women's circles in 2019, pre-pandemic, and I was going through my own, leaving church, leaving my career as a Christian speaker, leaving my marriage at the time, and like all of these big pillars of my life had come crashing down, and I was rebuilding everything. Big piece of that was my relationship to my body, realizing that I was so disconnected from my body. I mean, I was going through this massive life transformation. So of course I was in therapy. And one of the big pieces of therapy that stood out to me was the modality of somatic healing. And that's so much rather than like a psychology-based approach. It's a very body, nervous system, embodied approach. And that was profound for me because my whole life growing up in such a religious environment was like the body is bad.
Good
The
on
body is
purpose.
sinful. The body will lead you astray. You can't trust your body. You can't feel things, right? So I was raised in that environment. And like I said, my body was screaming at me to get out. And for the first time, I actually stopped and started listening to it. And somatics was that vehicle that I could get into that actually allowed me to have that conversation with my body. Right. And so in the probably fall of 2019, I was really trying to connect with my menstrual cycle and trying
Mhm.
to connect with my womb. And I had always been raised, and also society does this in general of like, it's dirty, it's gross, it's nasty, right? And it's this like women's curse,
Mhm.
right? Like, that's literally how it was presented to me because of the scriptures. But society as a whole treats it as like this yucky, dirty, nasty secret, this thing that you have to keep hidden. Right. And so I was going through this process. I had already had my two of my oldest children. I have three in total, but I had my two oldest children now at this point. And birth was such a profound experience for me that I could reclaim this and feel really strong. And I had a really empowering experience. I know not everyone does,
Mhm.
but I had a really incredible, empowered experience through pregnancy, birth, breastfeeding, all the things. And I thought maybe I could just apply that to my period as well, apply that to menstruation as well. And
Ooh.
so I went on this deep dive of like the womb and creation and all of these things. And I was still kind of like half in, half out of the church in some aspects of like, are there pieces of Christianity that can be redeemed?
Mhm.
Right. And so I would have said to you at the time that I was a progressive Christian mystic. Right. And so I was looking at the womb through that lens and going through this deep dive. And I just started talking about it online as I do, just yapping away. And other people started really engaging with it. And then I thought, well, let's just get everybody in the room together and let's have a conversation about how our periods have been vilified, how we've been made to feel like they're gross and dirty and
Mm.
we can't talk about it. And there's so much lack of education around it as well, too. Like I was working with clients and working with women who were in their like perimenopause, menopausal years, like they don't even have a period anymore, but they couldn't tell you all of the different distinct cycles. They couldn't
Yeah.
tell you how to nourish their body when they're on their period. They didn't know how to care for their body in their period. It was just
Mhm.
something that you just like, it's your cross to bear, right? Just it's your burden and just pull yourself through it. It sucks. It's the terrible part of being a woman. You just got to deal with it.
Never mind, like half the population goes through this on a monthly basis.
Truly, right? And so let's just talk about it. Let's
Yeah.
demystify all of the things. Let's normalize the conversation. Let's normalize the normal things our bodies do,
Yeah.
right? And so we just all got in a room and that was our first women's circle. We didn't even call it women's circle at the time. We called it womb night.
Aw.
And we met in someone's living room and we all sat on the floor and the pillows and the candles and all the things. And that just became a thing that people they showed up, they sold out. Every single spot on the carpet in the living room was taken up. And it just became this thing that I started looking around being like, wow, this is so life giving to me. And
Mm.
look at everybody who is here that wanted it too.
Yeah.
Right. And so we just kept showing up. We kept showing up month after month, having a meal together, sitting on the floor together, talking about things that had to do with bodies,
Mm.
relationships, sexuality, decolonization, healing, all of the things where we felt like we couldn't talk about in other places. And we kept doing that until the pandemic made us stop. And then we
Fine.
went online for a bit. And there was a number of years of like, can we do it? Can we not do
Yeah,
it? Can we do
will
it?
they?
Where shall we do it? Right. And it just was this like thing. And then last year, my dear friend Christina, who runs Old Hand Coffee, she opened up this beautiful space in Langley and it's got this gorgeous upper room where they hold events when it's after hours. And she's like, oh, just take my space. And so having a home for it now,
And it's such a good home.
and it's such a
It's
good home.
so beautiful and
It's so
cozy.
beautiful and cozy. It feels like you're like in grandma's living room,
Truly.
right?
Yeah.
And yeah, and it's just warm. And that's all the things that I want Women's Circle to feel. I want it to feel like home. I want it to feel
Yeah.
warm. And we can have this space where we can, again, have a meal together, deep dive into conversations, feel that solidarity and connection that even though we're all on our individual journeys, there's these threads of similarity of like,
Yeah.
you know what that feels like, and I know what that feels like, or maybe you see it from a different perspective than I do, but we can have
Mhm.
those conversation in a way that I feel like the world doesn't have spaces for that right
Mm.
now. you know?
Yeah.
And I hear you with what you're saying about like, oh, I'm hesitant of like these love and light, spiritual bypassing, often cultural appropriation women's
Mhm.
circles, because I wouldn't want to go to that either.
Mm-mm.
Right. And so we're really intentional about that. I mean, I am intersectional.
Yeah.
Like, I'm multiracial, I'm bisexual, I'm on my decolonizing journey. And I think that those two pieces were so key for me, right? Because a lot of us deconstruct religious ideas, right? There's a huge movement of people deconstructing their faiths. But if we don't also decolonize them, we're
Yeah.
just going to end up in more spaces that are doing the exact same thing, just with a different name. And we don't want to do that
No.
anymore. We're trying to leave that pattern of abuse behind altogether rather than continue to perpetuate it with a different aesthetic.
Wow. That's amazing. I'm curious because to me, the idea of womb healing to
Yeah.
me fits within that like appropriation circle a
Yeah.
lot of the times.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, like when you decided to change the name, why you decided to change the name and
Yeah.
like kind of like
I think we only
guided
did
away from
2
that.
womb nights. It was like a
Yeah.
part 1 and part 2, and then
Yeah.
instantly it became Reclamation Women's Circles.
Yeah.
And this was I feel like I came to that in 2020, 2019, like I said, and nobody was really talking about a lot of it, at least online spaces. Since then, the wellness to I'm using the wellness term lightly, but for lack of better word, and because most people know what I'm talking about, the, like, wellness/conscious space to alt-right pipeline
Mm-hmm.
is a pipeline that has been built.
It's a very well established
It's
one
a
by now.
well-established pipeline now since then,
Yes.
which it wasn't. The world was so different a few years ago.
It's true. 5 years, I guess, like 7 years now
Yeah,
since 2019,
I
which is
know,
insane to
because
say
we
out
lost
loud.
a few. If you
Yeah, no, it's been
time
4.
warpy.
We're gonna downgrade
Mhm.
everything.
Yeah,
But
but in
yeah,
that time,
so much has
so
changed.
much has
A
changed.
lot more discussion is
Yes,
happening. I feel like
yes,
there is a lot of really beautiful discussions happening that weren't
sure,
happening at 29 that should have been.
absolutely.
But then also in the same way, I feel like that pipeline has
Mhm.
really
Yeah,
grown.
yeah, absolutely. And like, look, I'm a hippie.
Mhm.
I'm crunchy, hippie, earthy, all the things. But also so grateful that we have modern medicine and
Yes.
also like really for human rights
Mhm.
and women's rights and
Mhm.
queer rights
Mhm.
and all of these things. And when we're talking about like it's a women's circle, but we are also really clear. I am really clear, and our community is really clear that it's women and femmes, right? If you identify as a woman, as you feel like a woman, if you have the experience of being a woman, or if that is women/femmes, if that resonates with you, we have space for you.
I think that's why I love your circle so much is like we went around and we did like the pronouns
Mm-hmm.
and I'm she they.
Yep.
Like I identify as like gender nonconforming, like
Yep.
I perform womanism, feminism,
Hey,
being a
we
woman.
all perform womanism,
I right?
feminism.
Yeah, I'm like I
It's a
am
social
woman.
construct.
And
Yes.
I think that's why I probably stayed away from a lot of women's
Yeah.
circles because I was like, do I belong here? But
Yeah.
you go around the circle and there were so many people who are also she they or
Yeah.
they she.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, my people.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're trying to do it in a way where also we're trying to like deconstruct like whiteness and white
Mhm.
privilege as well too, and also expand our understanding beyond just whiteness, right? And also naming and honoring when we are acknowledging that we're drawing inspiration or education from a culture that maybe isn't ours or that isn't as widely known, right? As a mixed Asian person who works with a lot of indigenous communities, I am really intentional about naming, where a lot of our like wellness trends come from Asian and indigenous communities, Asian and indigenous philosophies, Asian and indigenous cultures, right? And that is often glossed over, right? And so in our community, it's not that we have to be so afraid that we can't tap into the beauty of the world and the beauty of of humanity, but we just credit where credit is due,
Yeah.
right? And if something also is not for us, then we respect that it's not for us.
Yeah.
But if something is open for us to experience and share in and, learn from and all of those really beautiful cultural exchanges, then we do that. But we also try to really be very intentional about naming where they come from as well, too.
Yeah. Appreciation versus appropriation.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel that really strongly as somebody who, again, grew up in a church that was very white supremacist.
Mhm.
You ask any of the people and they wouldn't say it, but nobody wants to acknowledge that they're the bad guy, right? Or that we're maybe perpetuating harm, right? And really lovely people that I grew up around, but also there was a white supremacist culture, whether we want to name it or not. Right. And so I've also had to go through decades of relearning and reconnecting to my own Asian identities, right? And seeing it in this light of things that are really beautiful and not just like, oh, it's suspicious and
Mhm.
it's demonic and it's harmful, right? And so we can have a lot of those conversations. And I think a lot of the other folks around the circle are also trying to reconnect to what does womanhood or personhood look like for them?
Yeah.
And also what does spirituality look like for them? What does living in a body look like for them? Right. And so we can have all of those conversations and also in a way that is kind of messy and incomplete, but respectful, right? And like it's okay if you don't have all the answers. We're all figuring it out. No one around the circle is pretending that we have all the answers, but we're doing it in a way that is just honest about it all, I think.
Yeah, and it's so beautiful.
Thanks. I'm glad that that comes across. I walk away from it every time just being so grateful for it and learning something new every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish you could do it every week.
I know, right? I
'Cause
think
it's so
our
powerful.
community is getting there that
Yeah.
like
Hell
everybody just like wants more time together,
yeah.
you know? It's good.
Yeah, it's so good. I wanna ask you a little bit about your book,
Yeah.
because maybe you guys don't know, but Tara is a published author
Mhm.
amongst a million other amazing things that she does. And your book has a really interesting name, which I think kind of, like, ties into what we're talking about patriarchy, white
Mhm.
supremacy, policing bodies.
Yeah.
The name of your book is Your Body is a Revolution. I would love to know what inspired you to create and name your book with such a profound title.
Yeah. I think the working title at first was Your Body is a Reclamation, which I also love. It. Reclamation is this through line of it's reclamation women's circles and reclaiming art collective and all of these things. That reclamation of like taking back your voice and taking back your body and taking back your space and all of these things really deeply resonates to me and also many of the folks that I work with. That act in and of itself is revolutionary,
Mm,
right? And that's the thing that from like a historical, socioeconomic, political lens, looking at the way that bodies have been policed, voices have been policed, whose culture do we see as normal and whose culture do we see as other? All of these things, like they are political. And it is revolutionary to question them. It is revolutionary to take them back. It is revolutionary even just to have the representation of all of these things. Right? And so my book really dives into, especially in the first half, really dives into all of the ways that we become disconnected and disembodied as individuals and as well as a society. And it really goes into all of the political workings of how that happened, why that happened, what that looks like from racism, sexism, homophobia, transphobia, ageism, all of the things. Right? And so, yeah, we really, really have to dive deep into that because that's such a lived historical experience that all of us are still working to undo today. Right. And so I work with a lot of clients who sometimes will come to me and they'll be like, I feel so disconnected from my body. I feel like I'm dissociating all the time. I feel or I have like body dysmorphia or all of these things where I can't connect to this. Or maybe I even don't like this or I despise this.
it doesn't
Right.
feel safe.
It doesn't feel safe and for good reason. So
Yeah.
let's talk about all of the reasons that maybe have nothing to do with you and take some of that shame off, right? Because you've inherited and been born into a world that is not kind to bodies, right? And so I think that conversation in and of itself is revolutionary. And so that journey that I hope folks will go on as they read brings us through that whole process. And then the second half of the book is, well, if this is what we've inherited and now we can see it for what it really is, how do we now move forward in a really wholesome, embodied way that you get to, again, reclaim all of those things and then live in such a way that is revolutionary and countercultural to the status quo of
Mm.
disembodiment?
Mhm. I love I loved discovering that that was the name of your book because I have a
Mm.
selfie course called Selfie Revolution, which
Yeah.
I also feel like goes
Like
into the same
minded.
things,
Yeah.
about how healing your relationship with how you view yourself is really because when we see bodies, we don't just see bodies. We
No,
see all of this
all
other
of the
learned
things.
beliefs,
We
and
see
it
our body, we see all of the things too, right?
yeah. So I think it's so profound to be able to help encourage people to deconstruct all of those beliefs and to find a way back home to their body, and to
Yeah.
feel at home, feel safe again in their
Mhm.
body.
Yeah. I say that with a lot of clients. Like, we live in our heads and disconnect from our bodies, often for very legitimate reasons,
Yeah.
right? I mean, we can sit back and my book goes into like the societal pieces of why we feel disconnected. But then also we go into in the book and in my one-on-one work, and I know you do this as well with your individual clients of why on an individual level, right? Like it's the big picture things of why we're disconnected from our bodies. But then it's like the individual things of like somebody made that comment to you, or you didn't see yourself represented on screen, or you did see yourself represented on screen and it wasn't good, right? Or you lived in a relationship or an abusive environment. And all of those things shape the way that you live and feel in your body, right? And so that act of untangling all of those pieces, it's long, it's hard, it's full of grief often, it's full of anger, it's full of frustration. We feel lost at different times, but that journey, if we have the courage to face it, is revolutionary,
Truly.
right? And I feel like the selfie piece is now actually going through the practical motions of how can I now take that back? Because it's one thing to think it,
Yeah, but to actually embody it.
but then to embody it, to move it from head knowledge to felt lived experience,
Yeah.
knowledge that lives in my bones. And I know how it feels to see myself differently or to walk out the door and not worry about is my mini skirt too mini or whatever the things are, right? Like that is a different way of knowing and being.
Yeah, and I feel like that's where people get stuck
We
in the
do.
healing process. It's
Yeah.
like you think about it, you read the books,
Yep.
you watch the videos,
Yep.
you do whatever, you watch all the TED Talks, but then you don't actually transmute it into the next step of actually like
100%.
living it
It
'cause
needs that
that's
alchemy.
scary.
It is
It's so scary
scary.
and it's so vulnerable. And I think that's why I love dance and burlesque because
Yeah.
that's, I think, where the action comes in of like,
Mhm.
okay, I have all these big scary feelings. I don't want to be seen or I don't want to see
Mhm.
myself in a way that I don't think is like flattering. Ugh.
Yeah.
Um, and then people get stuck and they don't do the things that they want to do.
Yeah, and, like, live their lives.
Yeah.
And then they regret, and they're like, "Oh, 10 years ago, I wish I had started burlesque. I wish I had started heels. I wish I had gone to a women's circle. I wish I had started doing these things." And I was so scared and no shame because we all know what that feels like, right? But that's that you need to take that next step,
Yeah.
right? Because it is just head knowledge otherwise.
And you're just thinking about it constantly.
And I work with a lot of clients who come to me, and I'm sure you do too, in the sense where like they've done the years and years and years of therapy, and thank God that therapy exists. We're so grateful that it exists. It does, we do such good and important work in therapy, but you need to take what you learn in therapy
I feel it.
and now feel it, whether that next step is like maybe somatic work now because
Yeah.
you've done the mind work, now you got to move to the body work, or you just get out there and you start living your life doing the things, right? That it has to keep going.
Yeah.
It can't get stuck in any one place.
I get a lot of clients actually who are recommended to me by their therapist.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they'll tell me that they like,
Which is such a high honor.
I know. Every
Yeah.
time I'm like, thank you so much. Who's
Yes.
your therapist? Can I send her flowers?
Yes, like, oh,
But I think like they will say like they get more healing out of a boudoir session
yeah,
than they have in like years of
Yeah.
therapy
I've
because
heard that too.
actually feel like you got to feel your feelings. My therapist says it all the time. But like, what
Sure.
does that mean and how
Yeah.
do you actually
How
do
do you
it?
do that? And how do I move my body from like feeling like it's going to die
Yeah.
when I think about actually doing the thing? How do I start to like slowly expand my window of tolerance in my nervous system so that that feeling goes, oh, okay, I can readjust. I've done the big scary thing and I've dipped
Yeah.
my toe in, and now maybe I can go a little bit further,
Yeah.
right? Little bit by little bit until our bodies adjust. And
Yeah.
now it's not so scary. And I'm not going to have a panic attack and feel like I'm going to die.
You definitely have to like find your edge
Yeah.
and push safely.
Truly.
And I have a maybe controversial opinion that not everybody is meant to be a boudoir photographer because I feel like it's
No,
really,
I don't think everybody is. No.
I think it's really easy to re-traumatize people. And if you're not
100%.
doing like the trauma-informed
Yeah.
space holding,
Yeah.
then actually just inviting somebody into your space to do this healing work and moving them
Yes.
past that
No.
is going to re-trigger them and leave them worse off than they were
Uh-uh.
before.
Yeah. And I talk about that also too. I'm
Yeah.
very, very cautious of that because in both my one-on-one somatic work with folks and also women's circles, it's so easy for a lot of folks that come with me into those spaces. They're coming from high control religion, right? Or they're coming from an abusive relationship, right? Where their consent was never taken into consideration. So they have to learn how to say yes and they have to learn how to say no. And that's one of the first things that I tend to do with people because they don't know how to find their yes or their no, right? And so my clients who are maybe listening to this or you who've been to Women's Circle, you'll hear that like, we always say like your no is as sexy as your yes.
Yeah.
And we only go where your body gives full consent.
I'd say like even your no's like sexier because
Oftentimes,
it's so much harder
yes.
for people to say. Like people who are socialized as
100%.
women, like we don't feel
Yeah.
comfortable saying no.
Absolutely.
And that's something
I love a woman who knows how to say no.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
please tell me no again. I love
Please.
this for you.
Yes.
Like I'm so proud of you. Let's
Right?
go.
100%. Yeah. And And yeah, that's such a courageous thing for us to do,
Yeah.
right? And a lot of people don't even know where to find that. So
Mhm.
often that's like our starting point. That's our first place, and
Mhm.
lean in as much or as little as you want to. And to hear, I think for clients to hear, I trust you to be able to make that decision, right? Where a lot of us don't trust ourselves because
Mhm.
we were raised in environments where we were taught not to trust ourselves. I know better than you. Like, how often do kids hear that, even if you're not raised in a high control religious
And
environment?
then you ask why, and they just say,
And you're like,
"Because I know more
because
than
I
you."
said so, because
Yeah.
I'm older, right?
Yeah.
And so to actually be able to say, I trust you to make that decision for yourself. And I encourage you to show up with radical responsibility and to say no when you need to say no and say yes when you need to say yes. And that's your job. And my job is to respect that.
Yeah.
Right? My job isn't to make that decision for you. It's your job to know and make that decision for yourself. And if you don't know, haven't built that skill yet, that's okay. We'll start by learning how to build that skill, right? But then we'll move forward from that place of
Mhm.
embodied consent. It's so powerful.
It's so powerful.
Yeah.
I think it's also really hard for women to tap into that because where you feel no and yes is like in your body. And you've
Yes.
been conditioned to
Hmm.
not feel your body and be so disembodied because an
Mm-hmm.
embodied woman is a powerful one.
100%.
Do you have any like tips for people on how to actually like find or hear, maybe is a better way to say it, like their yes or their no in their
Yeah.
body?
I like to start by playing games with my clients.
Ooh, fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so a game that we play is literally just the yes or no game. And I will ask my client a million questions. And they sit with each one and they go, yeah, I want to go to sushi this afternoon for lunch with you. Let's go do that.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I do want to really dye my hair purple. I've never done that before. No, I don't want to swim with sharks. Yes, I do want to go skydiving. No, I do. And we just go through whatever question pops up on the top of my mind and they notice how each one lands in their body and they begin to feel the differences between the two. And that skill of noticing those subtle shifts of my body goes, ooh, or no, right? And then being in a place where I actually feel I can express that. Because a
Mhm.
lot of us may feel it. If we're tuned in enough to feel it, are we courageous enough now to honor it, right? Because a lot of us have also trained ourselves to bypass it,
Mm.
right? So it's like it's two things at once,
Yeah.
right? One, sometimes we have to learn the skill of noticing it. Others, we know it and we've trained ourselves to bypass it
Gaslight ourselves.
and gaslight ourselves because
Mm.
I'm worried about the person opposite to me and what you're thinking rather than actually, right? And so I'm too afraid to lose the relationship with you that I will lose the relationship with myself.
Damn.
Right? And so we play this game to start to tune into that and also simultaneously build the skill of using our voice to actually say yes or no. And through that process of however many questions it takes, we can take as many sessions asking questions back and forth as we need to the point that now my nervous system is comfortable in that I could get rejected every time I say no. But we've done it enough that I start to not care because I value the relationship that I have with myself and my body, and I'm not going to self betray and violate my own consent because I'm just afraid of losing someone. And not to minimize that, that's a real fear that a lot of us have. And it's because, to your point previously about how like oftentimes we're looking for community and we're looking for belonging. Like
Mhm.
humans are animals.
Yeah.
Humans are pack animals. We
Yeah.
live in
We
herds.
need each other.
We need each other.
Mhm.
It's a super primal survival need. And I think we forget that.
Mhm.
I think we think that in our like modern technological age in the year 2026 that we don't need to be animals anymore, but we
Mhm.
very much still do.
Yeah.
And I think part of reclaiming that embodiment also is remembering how connected to nature we are and how
Mhm.
much we are animals.
Yeah. And how far back that goes. Like as
Truly.
humans historically, like we would gather in circles, we would sing, we would have our
We're
feet
doing
barefoot
something
in the ground.
ancient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so profound. And like I feel like
Mhm.
whenever I'm at women's circle, I'm like, oh, this is what I'm meant to do. Like my
Yeah.
bones
Yeah.
know that we're
Truly.
meant to gather in these
Truly.
circles together.
Yeah. And we're trying to take it one step further as well too of like learning how to move out of this very like colonial western capitalist patriarchal framework of like we all live in our little nuclear families in
Mhm.
isolation. Like
Mhm.
last week I drove around dropping off groceries to folks. Like we
Yeah.
fed 5 families from Women's Circle with extra groceries that I got
Amazing.
from the food bank and
Yeah.
making sure that everybody's fridges were full. I went to court with somebody who was stuck in like a family court situation dealing with post-separation abuse, and I just got to sit next to her and have the honor of being with her while she's facing her abuser. You know,
Mhm.
like doing these things. I've seen we did yard work at one of the community circle members' houses, and like you don't have to do it alone. Let's pull all the weeds together. You know, and seeing other people also doing the same thing of like I'm going to help you wash your laundry. I'm going to help you do this. I'm going to help you do that. Like
Mhm.
learning how to step out of our little bits of isolation where we're all
Mhm.
burnt out and drowning. And how can we actually have real, authentic community together and
Yeah.
like be the village in the way that we're all craving and like fuck the patriarchy that says that we have to do it all by ourselves all
Mhm.
alone.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the real revolution,
Yeah.
is showing up for each other.
Matriarchal,
Snaps.
decolonial, matriarchal.
Mm. I think people think the revolution looks like this, like, big, violent uprising, and maybe one day it needs to be, but
Yeah.
it's also sharing groceries, sharing
It's sharing versus,
resources,
yeah.
and having, like, a community food fridge, and,
Yeah.
like, actually showing up for each other and lifting up
And it's
people.
moments like the special edition women's circle that you and
Yeah.
I did together, where it was like peak girlhood, peak
Oh my
female
god, it was so
gaze,
good.
where all of the women were naked in the studio and all ages, all gender, all generations, right? I
Mhm.
think everybody identified as a woman or
Mhm.
femme in that group. So it wasn't all genders, but it was this really beautiful moment of like women hyping each other up, supporting each other, feeling really good in our bodies, maybe even
Mhm.
having moments like where we were scared to be seen and be vulnerable,
But we
but
did it
then
anyway.
doing it anyway and
Yeah.
instantly being met with being held
Yeah.
by this really beautiful community, you know, and like women who were into their 70s doing this and like doing it really well.
So good. Patriarchy works really hard to pit women against each other,
Truly.
to make us like fear one another or
Mhm.
judge one another or hate one another for
Mhm.
whatever reasons. And it also tries really hard to separate us.
Yeah.
And then to think like, why does it do that? I'm like, it does that so that we don't do this.
Yeah.
So we don't realize that like together we're so much
Yeah.
stronger and so much more powerful
Truly.
and can
Yep.
share resources and can share connection and support for one another
Yeah.
so that we can overthrow them.
Yeah, because that scarcity isn't there all
Yeah.
of a sudden
Yeah.
anymore.
We're like, "Oh, wait, we actually do have everything we
We
need
have
within
everything that we
ourselves."
need. We don't need to go buy more stuff to fill
No.
that gap or depend on men, but men can actually be part of the community in a
Mhm.
thriving, life-giving way. Like it's better for men and masculine folks as well to
Mhm.
also live under a decolonial
Yes.
matriarchal framework.
Patriarchy fucks us all!
All of us. The only people who benefit are those who are at the top making billions of dollars.
And killing the planet.
Truly.
Things I hate it here.
Yeah.
I love it here. I love it here.
I love it
Yeah.
here. I love it. Like I think that's the thing that like I will forever be so sad about and devastated over is
Mhm.
that we live on such a beautiful planet with
It's so
such
beautiful.
beautiful humans, and this is what we turned it into.
Honestly. Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be that way. And so this is why my mantra has become confront what's wrong in the world and multiply what's right is you need both
Mm.
hands at the same time.
I love that.
Yeah.
I feel like before I met you,
Mm.
I was so deep in the rage
I mean, me too.
and the feminist angst, and,
Yeah.
like, I still am.
We
I'm
still
such
are.
an angry little feminist. I'm just like, "Fuck patriarchy!"
Yeah,
But
truly. There's
then
a time for it.
there truly is.
And it's often.
And also, like, women being told not to use their anger or fearing their anger when our anger is actually
Truly.
such a profound tool for
Truly.
change and
Yes.
action
Yeah.
and utilizing that.
Yeah.
But there's also the amplify the good, you know, and
Yes.
there's that part that I feel like you need both.
You need
You
both.
can't be consumed by your rage of what's wrong in the world because there's so much. And
There's
we
so
could just be
much.
stuck in that all the time. But you need to be able to have the good and have the joy,
And
have the
both
pleasure with the
are so
grief.
valid and both are so needed, right? It's not trading one for the other.
It's not either or.
It's not either or because I spend a good amount of time in rage and it's incredibly mobilizing.
Yeah, I get some of my best work done when I'm angry.
Truly.
I'm like, I see something that pisses me off
Yeah.
online. I'm like, all right, we're gonna
Yeah.
make a video.
And the world has only moved forward because of angry women.
It's true.
Honestly, because women are like, this is bullshit.
Actually, none of this. Thank you.
Yeah. Like we could do so much better.
Yeah.
We can do so much more. And it benefits everyone, right? And so yeah, you need both. You need both. We need the rage and the revolution, and we need the rebirth of a new world and remembering the communities that we're supposed to be in, I think. I think it's
Mm.
both.
What does the rebirthed world look like to you?
I mean, decolonial for sure. I'm so far left. I'm like land back left. Like we're done with this. The system can't be redeemed. It needs to go away, and we need a new one because look, indigenous people and cultures around the world have lived and survived for
Mhm.
so many years, and they are so much wiser than we think we are with our modern technological advances. We're figuring out right now, like, oh, indigenous people had it all together thousands of years ago.
Like, since the Industrial Revolution 100 years
It's
ago,
all
we've
gone down from there.
killed the planet.
All of it.
Like, that's
Yeah.
almost impressive if it wasn't heartbreaking
Yeah.
that we were able to do that so quickly and so swiftly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I'm on the side of nature here that's like
Yeah,
humans fucked it all up. I'm
I
like,
bet.
yes, we have. We are the worst.
Mhm.
And also humans are wonderful, but like we need to get back to that. And so I think the answer is honestly learning from indigenous folks and folks who are still so much more connected to the earth and our roots than so many of us are. Like
Mhm.
we're doing the necessary important deconstructing, decolonizing work, and I'm so grateful for it. But I have a lot of elders who have mentored me that are either Asian elders or Indigenous elders. I'm so grateful for them. I've learned so much from them. And I think that's the way. We need to live more connected to the land, more in harmony with the seasons. Our bodies feel better for it. Like we were just talking right before we started recording of like the sun came out last weekend and all of a sudden we go outside and we're like, because I put my feet on the ground and I sat around the fire. It's really, really, really essential.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think the way forward is actually looking backwards at all
Mhm.
of the things of we need, you know, you don't need anything else from the store.
No.
You don't need anything off Amazon. It's been the most freeing thing for me being on a journey over the last few years of having to look outside of a really like capitalist structure and realizing that like there's so much that exists secondhand and it is better for everything.
Yeah.
And it's really been better for my body. That's been like the most surprising thing is it's been better for my body. It's been better for my body image. It's been better for
Mhm.
my embodiment journey to be less dependent on capitalist systems and to look at the world in a sharing of everything sort of way
Yeah.
and realizing that like I don't need the next trend. I'm just buying these things because I feel like I'm lacking something within myself, right? I feel like I want to look cool. I want to fit in. I want to whatever the thing is and digging stuff that I've had in my closet since I was maybe like 15 years old and thankfully I still fit it. And I don't care if it is trendy or not
Yeah.
because I like it.
Yeah. I have, like, a little timeout box for my clothes,
That's great.
and
That's
if I
so
get
cool.
my body changes a lot, though, so, like, sometimes
Sure.
they don't fit, and
Yeah.
that's fine, but I'll, like, put them in the timeout box, and then, like,
Yeah.
I'll take them out in a couple years and
Yeah.
be like, "Wait, I like this again,"
Yeah.
because like, enough time has elapsed that my little brain is like, "Ooh, it's new."
It's new and it's exciting. And I have some stuff that doesn't fit. Like I have some stuff that I bought in postpartum,
Yeah.
right? But and my body was obviously in a different size then.
Mhm.
But when I put a cute belt on it,
Ooh.
all of a sudden it works,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Why do I need to buy something new? I'm just going to wear it out till it's no good anymore.
Exactly.
And if it doesn't work for me, I'm just going to give it to somebody else. And then
Yeah.
it's that community aspect.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of single moms in our community that just like don't have the income to be able to buy all of the things after they've made sure their kids are okay.
Mhm. Yeah.
Right?
So the future is the past,
The future is the past.
and
The
it's taking
future
care of
is
one another,
remembering
not
that we are
buying shit
together. The
from the
future is
Bezos
mutual
machine.
aid.
Mm.
The future is fuck the corporations.
Yeah. Eat
The
the rich.
future is local.
Mm.
The future is sustainable. Like I saw this really cool. I want to try it. I haven't tried it yet because I literally just saw it last night. But go on a tangent with me for a second.
Let's go, I'm in.
You can take citrus peels and scrape all the stuff out and then put it over like a little jar with elastic so that it can dry and turn it into little trinket boxes.
What?
And then it's obviously biodegradable because you can just throw the orange peel after it's like turned into this like dried, hard shelled,
That is so
little
cool.
cute little trinket box.
Huh.
Like more stuff that's going to biodegrade, please.
Yeah. I thought you were gonna say, like, there's, like, an orange peel candle hack you can do.
I mean, there probably is. Let's find it.
Yeah.
Should we do that for Women's Circle?
Done.
Candle making night?
Oh my god, okay, I wanna do candle painting. Have you
Okay.
seen that? Where you, like, make
No.
little tea lights and you, like, paint the
That sounds really
candles?
cute. Let's do it.
Yeah.
I do like spell candles. I'll take our we always finish women's circle with a salt bowl ceremony, and
Mhm.
it's everybody's opportunity to just kind of like really be seen and heard around the circle. And it's makes me cry all the time. And it's really, really beautiful and profound. People have really good thoughts in our
Yeah,
community,
they
and they
really
always have
do.
brilliant things to say. And I just love listening to them. But then we take the salts, and everyone can take some home. And I like to take the tea light out and sprinkle the salts on the bottom, and then when you
Ooh,
light it, it's not messy, but then when you light it, it burns eventually and gets to the bottom, and then it just mixes in with the salts, and it feels like this is like a little spell for like sisterhood and community,
I love it.
and the downfall of patriarchy and the rising of the matriarchy and
Yeah.
all the things that we would have been burned at the stake for so long ago.
I would have so been burned at the stake.
Truly.
Like, I wouldn't have stood a
No,
chance.
same.
I would have been fucked.
Not at all.
But you
Not
know
even
what?
one.
Gladly. You
Yeah.
know what? To be an angry woman in this lifetime means I was one in every lifetime.
And it feels good because it
Mhm.
feels like what an honor to be able to do that in this lifetime. And we might get some pushback from it, absolutely. But it feels like such an honor because women literally died to do the things that we get to do today.
Truly.
We don't.
Yeah.
It feels like a shame. It
Mm.
feels like a waste. It feels like a loss to not be able to do all of the great things that we get to do today.
We have a responsibility to be angry, slutty women.
Truly. My favorite women are angry, slutty women.
Right? Same. I have a completely different segue,
Yeah.
because I haven't seen you in a long time. I actually haven't been able to ask you about your burlesque debut.
Ah! Well, burlesque debut still to come. We will
Okay.
work on this.
Solo dance
Heels,
debut.
solo, yes.
I would love to ask you
Thank
about
you.
how you came from, like, deep, deep purity culture
Yeah,
church to
dancing
scantily
on
clad sexy
stages in
heels
my
dance.
underwear. Yeah. I grew up dancing ballet so intensely in the studio
Mm,
all the time. And so I love dance. Dance is has always and probably will be a part of me until my body will give out and I cannot dance any longer and then I'll dance in my wheelchair or
ooh,
whatever it is. I love dance and for a long period of time I didn't
mm,
dance. Life got lifey and motherhood got motherhoody and I lost myself to it a little bit and I needed something that was just for me. And so after my postpartum years with my youngest, I found a heels dance class locally and I was terrified to do it. Like,
mhm,
I'm not even gonna lie. I was terrified to do it. It felt scary. It felt way out of my comfort zone. I was battling a lot of internal purity culture thoughts of, because like when I was in purity culture and deep in high control religion, I policed my body so much that I changed the way I walked
wow.
because I would get in trouble for walking with too much sway in my hips and that I was going to lead the boys astray and take them straight to hell. And so I changed the way I walked so as not to be a distraction for the male gaze, which is a lose lose battle
Yeah.
because it doesn't matter what you do. You are commodified and sexualized within the framework of patriarchy. So you can never, never, never win that game. But I tried. I tried really, really hard to be a really good girl and to follow the rules, even though I was still always being told that I was being rebellious.
Mm,
And so I was walking into the dance studio that first time with all of those thoughts in my head. And really had to challenge myself through every warm up, through every across the floor, through everything. But also at the same time, there was something in me, like, the different parts of ourselves, like from IFS parts work, the different parts of ourselves were at war in the sense that there
mm,
was one that was like, this feels so good and I love it so much. And
mhm.
there was one that was like, we can't do this. We can't be this like we're gonna be a Jezebel. We're gonna be this like terrible like woman who's like, what are people gonna think? Like the judgment and what would people say? And I can't post these photos online. And like, also keep in mind that like I was already doing somatic work. I had already been trained at the Institute for Somatic Sex Education. I was already doing, sexological work and still was battling with this thought in my head of like, am I going to be too much?
Mm,
Have I gone too far?
mhm.
Right? And through the process of doing it and doing it in a community of other women and femmes who were doing it and battling all the same thoughts in their head right alongside me, it became such an empowering, liberating experience. I did it because it saved my mental health and my sanity. It gave me an outlet that was creative and fun, and then I could come back to my family and be a better mom for my kids because I was showing up with a full cup.
Mhm.
You know, I was doing something that was movement based. And also, like, I have a really terrible back. Like, I have really, really intense scoliosis. I deal with chronic back pain. Sometimes it's really hard to get out of bed. I think that that's also really important to speak to as well, too, because
Yeah.
there's a lot of disabled dancers
So
in the
many.
dance community. So
Yeah.
many. And people don't always take it seriously because they're like, oh, I
Mhm.
just saw you do this thing on stage. And you're like,
But
yeah,
you didn't see me after.
but you didn't see me after. And you also didn't, didn't see all the preparations that I had to take
Yeah.
in order to be able to do that thing on stage,
Mhm.
right? And so for me, getting up and dancing on a weekly basis and being in the studio and making that a part of my embodiment practice
Mm.
is not only good for my mental health, but it's really important for my physical health. And doing this solo recently, where it was my solo debut as a performer,
All eyes are on you.
all eyes are on me. I choreographed it myself, which was, we talked about it beforehand. I was like so out of my comfort zone. It felt so like I would see other people choreograph and I would have our teachers choreograph our dances and I'd be like, I don't even know how you do it. I don't know
Yeah.
how you do it. Right? And so to now be in that driver's seat and do it and tell the story through my own way, in my
It
own
was so
lens, it was so empowering. I needed to crash through my own glass ceilings. I
Mhm.
needed to be bolder in my own way because we all go through this in our growth. We're like, and I see this with my clients where you grow exponentially. Sometimes there's a little two steps forward, one steps back, but you
Mhm.
grow, you grow, you grow, and then we kind of plateau a little bit
Yeah.
and we need to burst through our own glass ceilings. And that was that for me. This
Mm.
performance really was that for me, and I danced to the song "Sinner" by Esme Rose, which I don't know if you know it, but it is witchy and ragey in all the best ways, and it calls out all of the things that are wrong in the world that we are mad about right now. It's incredibly timely from a political, socioeconomic standpoint, and, just go look it up after.
It's
You
so
won't be
good.
mad. It's really good, and it felt so cathartic.
Yeah.
And it felt like I was able to throw it all up on the stage in that moment. It was a one and done performance, throw it all up on the stage. And afterwards, I stepped away from it really feeling like something completed for me.
Yeah. I watched your performance as soon as you posted it. I
Oh.
was just like glued to my screen, just like crying. And something I'm not surprised at all is your first solo debut.
Mm,
And you took it as a chance to speak on business and to speak to something that like means so much to you and to make it political and make it about violence against women. And I was weeping. Like, it was so
and
beautiful.
Christian nationalism and
Yeah.
religious patriarchy
Yeah.
and religious oppression
Mhm.
and, yeah, all of these things. It felt like it was everything I wanted to say. And if you give me a mic or a stage, I'm gonna say the things. I remember, like, sliding that song towards the director and being like,
Ooh.
"Can I go here? Can I do this?"
Yeah.
It's a lot. It talks about everything. And they were
Mm.
like, "Hell yeah, let's do it."
Which is such an important conversation to highlight
Yeah.
and to also like display in a way that's not just like talking about it, but showing it
Yeah.
and making people feel it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's something about dance that's so profound is you watch a dancer who's so embodied and so in it and you
Yeah.
feel what they're conveying to you so
Truly.
deeply
Yeah.
that I feel like you feel deeper than if you were just listening to about
Yeah.
it or like hearing a talk about it.
Yeah, look, I don't dance to be hot on stage. It feels good and it's fun,
Mhm.
and all of the dancers are hot on stage, every
Yeah.
single last one of them. But we don't do it just to be hot on stage like, "Look at me, I'm so great." We do it because we're pushing back on all of the societal expectations that say,
Yeah.
"This is the box that you have to live in,"
Mhm.
right? While we have the hypocrisy of everything going on behind the scenes, right? And so we're taking all of that back. And it's a powerful, profound political statement every single time we put our heels on.
Yeah. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
It just makes me so happy watching it. It's
Yeah.
so good.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for being so encouraging about it.
Oh my gosh. It's my favorite thing watching women be so powerful.
Truly.
Be so scared and
Yeah.
be so vulnerable
Yeah.
and say, I would have been burned at the stake for this before, so I gotta do it now.
Yeah.
You know, like it I don't know.
Right?
It's just so it
Well,
moves me.
I get the privilege of doing that with clients a lot, and I know you do
Yeah.
too. And I was just so grateful. I just want to name it
Mhm.
politically and publicly right now that like you did that for me also too. And I'm really grateful, like, in the voice notes that we shared back and forth leading up to
Mm.
it and, just sitting around Tacofino, right? And you were just, like, so encouraging, and it was a boost that I needed to,
Mhm.
again, step outside of my comfort zone because 'cause we're
Yeah.
always learning and growing. Like,
Mhm.
I am doing the thing right alongside my clients, just like I know you are doing the thing right alongside your clients,
Yeah.
right? We know what it feels like to face our fears and do the scary
Mhm.
thing because we know our growth is on the other side.
Really.
Right? And I just wanna thank you for doing that for me.
Oh, it was my pleasure.
Yeah.
And I
Mm.
just loved watching it. It was so good.
Thanks.
All right, we could gab all day. I can't believe we've been talking already for like over an hour. So I have one last question for
Okay.
you before we wrap this thing up. And that's, what's something you wish more women gave themselves permission to do, feel, or explore?
Yeah. I mean, that's so good. I don't even know where to start. Like, I'm seeing like a million different thoughts run through my brain right
Mhm.
now of what I wish more women do. I wish more women and femmes gave themselves moments to rest without guilt. I
Mhm.
wish more women and femmes spoke up against the things that were scary and the things that are wrong and put aside the fear of the pushback. The pushback is real. And we're living in a
Mhm.
day and age right now where, from a political standpoint, the pushback is really real. Right? And we have the privilege of being in the Western world where like bombs aren't being dropped on us in places where like Palestine and Gaza, situations like the Sudan and
Mhm.
Congo, and what's happening in Southeast Asia and Myanmar, like seeing like there are really terrible things going on in the world. And women and femmes, fellow sisters, women and femmes around the world don't have the ability because of acute violence happening right now to be able to do those things, right?
Mhm.
And here the violence is happening politically rather
Yeah.
than like the violence necessarily happening in a violent physical standpoint. Violence against women is real and it's an epidemic, and there's a lot of domestic violence and intimate partner violence that are happening,
Mhm.
and that's happening behind closed doors. And so I want to name that
Yeah.
because that's so 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 real, and also recognizing that a lot of the violence takes place either behind closed doors or in political arenas right now,
Mhm.
right? And so a lot of people are afraid. And if I am just quiet and if I am just silent and I just be the good girl and I be the model poster child that white supremacy and patriarchy and colonization want me to be, maybe I won't also suffer that incredible, terrible violence.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work that way, right? And so I
That's how
wish
the
I wish I saw more and more women. And I mean, in our circle, we do. We all are on that page, but I hope that catches like wildfire. I want to see women be more bolder. I want to see women be unapologetic in their rest. I want to see women be unapologetic in their pleasure.
Yeah.
I want to see women be unapologetic in what they eat, right? My friends and I, we all say like girls got to eat because like
Mhm.
they've traveled with me and they know that I can't just have a snack as a meal. Like
Mhm.
I gotta eat or else I am a cranky bitch, right? And I wish more women let themselves do that as well too.
Also, you
Whatever that
can't
looks like
like
for you.
run a revolution hungry.
No, heck no.
You
Also, there's
gotta.
so much good food in
There's
the
so much
world.
good food.
There's so much.
So much good
It's my
food.
Singaporean roots coming out right now of like, let's eat. Have you eaten yet? Because that is a love language. When someone says, have you eaten yet? Or let me cook for you. Right. And I wish more women just unapologetically did that. We're seeing
Yeah.
this huge rise in like skinny culture. And I know that sounds
Mhm.
like I live in a small body. I get it. My genetics are Asian and I'm little and I get that. But like, this is just the body that I live in
Yeah.
and I don't try to change it, and I hope that nobody else tries to change it as well too,
Yeah.
because like there's such a push right now. I wish more women didn't fall into that. This is the what did I eat in a day, and this
Mhm.
is the calories that go into this versus this, and I'm not good at math. I can't do that. I'm hungry, and so I'm going to
Let
eat
me
the
eat.
food that I need to eat. And it has to be filled with like substance because if
Yeah.
I don't eat substance, I'm a cranky, mean bitch. Nobody wants that.
I love a bitch. I
I mean,
love
I love
bitches.
it. I've been taking back cunt lately too.
Yes.
I'm really in my cunty era right
Here,
now.
here, here, here. I want to speak on quickly how you said like the skinny epidemic, which I think we're seeing a
Yeah.
lot, and like they've like healed fatness with Ozempic or whatever, and like pushing these
Yeah.
medications on people who don't need them. And I've been trying to reframe it as like the shrinking epidemic
Yeah, truly.
because there are so many different bodies and people do exist in like skinny bodies
Yeah.
naturally.
Yeah.
But I think if we reframe it to the shrinking epidemic, it really highlights it for what it
Yeah.
is, which is
It does.
patriarchy shrinking women to take
Yeah.
up less space, have less energy to
Yeah.
participate in the revolution
Yeah.
and to actually have the energy to live their lives
Yeah.
and stomp Nazis in the face.
I look at it from this standpoint of like women being small and taking up less space,
Yeah.
right? So I'm going to go on a little bunny trail. Stay with me. There's a point, I promise. I have learned that not only am I Chinese Singaporean, but my roots from, because Chinese is, there's so many different people groups within the Chinese nationality, right? And so I'm Hakka and I'm Cantonese. And the Hakka specifically are one of the only groups that did not bind women's feet. So this smallness feels very, 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 very ancestral to me, in a sense that like we didn't shrink women's feet and confine women to painful existences where they were stuck within the home for these small, cute, little, delicate, doll-like feet, which feels a lot like the skinny resurgence that we're seeing right now.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
It's control over women.
It's 100% the same thing,
Yeah.
right? Women lost their literal mobility when their feet were wrapped, right, in China. And so fact that Hakka women never were subjected to that. And the reason was because we were revolutionaries. We were constantly the anarchists. Historically, if you look at Hakka history, this is the one big notable thing, is that we were constantly warring revolution against imperial China to the point that we were almost knocked out. And the Hakka people are called guest people because we were nomadic and we were continuously fleeing like refugees because we would start revolutions and have to flee for our lives. And you can't run for your life or fight as a warrior if your feet are about this big, right? And so women taking up space historically for my people group is incredibly revolutionary. And so every time I get to put on heels and I get to dance because my feet are big enough to do that, or every time that I get to feed myself, or any time that I get to work in politics or take a megaphone up at a rally or a march, all of these things, it feels like I'm stepping into that ancestral lineage of women who took no shit, who were warriors, who were farmers, who were hard workers, who warred revolution against imperial China, because our feet weren't so small that we couldn't do that thing. And that transfers over to this skinny resurgence as well too. Take up your space, take up your voice. The revolution needs you. And we're not lying down and just taking it because we're so afraid that we're not going to push back against patriarchy, colonization, and white supremacy. Everything that we do, whether that be going and doing your healing work, that is revolutionary, right? Coming and doing somatic therapy, revolutionary. Taking a bird boudoir shoot or a burlesque shoot, or burlesque class or a heels class, or coming to a women's circle where you're rallying around other people who are looking at the world through this lens, all of those things are revolutionary. And all of those things are so needed in the world right now, today.
So needed.
So needed.
That was so beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. I could yap on your couch all day long with you.
I was like, I don't want this to.
We can do it again. We can do a part 2.
Okay, tell people where they can find you.
I mean, you can find me on Molly's couch.
She just lives here now,
I just live here. I'm part of the furniture. And you can find me on all the socials at Miss Tara Teng, MISSTARATENG. I live a lot mostly on Instagram. That's kind of my jam. And so come hang out. I love having real authentic conversations, both in the comments, in the broadcast channel, in the DMs. If folks want to explore working one-on-one, you can find me at tarateng.com and just book a free call just to say, hey. Like, I love that. Even if you're just like, oh, I want to talk to you about something you guys talked about on the podcast. Great. Like, let's have that feedback. I'm sure you would love to have that feedback too, right? Like, let's keep that conversation going. And if you're in the Fraser Valley / Greater Vancouver area and you want to come to a women's circle, you can find me there every month. Recreation Women's Circles. We would love to have you. There's always an extra spot. We feed you well, and then we hang out and we talk about revolutionary things together. It is a vibe every single time.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Because the revolution is well fed.
Is well fed. Well fed, well fucked, well loved. That's what we do.
We didn't talk about very much sexy stuff, so that's
we'll have to come back another time.
Stay tuned for part 2.
That's where you get them.
Hell yeah. Thank you so much.
Thanks, babe.
Yay! We did it!
Yay!